Timing. We got a variable camshaft timing system. We got electronic throttle control. What does that mean? What's electronic throttle control?
Drive-by-wire.
Drive-by-wire means you don't have a throttle cable.
How dare you push in on that throttle, please?
Huh? Yeah. This right here is basically
mess it up. $600 part.
Oh, yeah. You got too much stuff all up here. Oh, here we go. See it right here? What we've got is we've got an electronic gas pedal with 3 sensors in it built together. Notice the whole pile of wires in there.
Isn't it just like a throttle position sensor?
No. Actually, this thing's got 3 different sensors in it, and 2 of them actually mirror one another. And 2 of them are just alike. One of them's a mirror. Well, they got different voltages. If they don't all agree, you get only part throttle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And a wrench light comes on. That's on the cord. Now this right here is an electronic throttle body. It's got a throttle plate. And you know what he's saying is you don't ever push on this plate to open it by hand. If even without the engine running, if you take that breather off and you hit the gas, this will open up. Even without the engine running, this will go. The cruise control and the idle speed control are also done here. So you don't need an idle air control anymore. You don't need a cruise control actuator anymore. Everything's done through the PCM. My pickup truck is set up this way. But this pedal and this throttle body cost less money if you replace both of them than a vapor pressure sensor for a 97 Toyota Camry, which is so small that you could put it in your mouth and close your mouth and you could never know it was there. So you'd spend more money on that than you would both of these.
How much is that?
This right here, both of these together, if I remember right, was like $160 or something for both of them. If you get on a Nissan or something like that, you're going to pay through the nose, and they go bad all the time. So what I mean is electronic throttle body parts and stuff like that. Typically, what I've experienced is on domestic cars, in most cases, not in every case, but in most cases, they're not as expensive as the Asian cars. And it's not that the Asian cars are better. It's just that the parts cost more. Okay. So, anyway, for what it's worth. Okay, so you got an engine block bed plate, iron inserts. What's that? Engine block bed plate.
That's that thing on the bottom of the block that holds in the crank.
Yeah, instead of having main bearing caps, you got a bed plate.
It's a girdle.
Yeah, sort of. But all the main caps are cut into that bed plate. Right. All right. You got a.
Hey, what's it mean with the 4-bolt main and 2-bolt main? What's the difference? What's it mean? I understand it's got 2 bolts on each one.
It's supposed to be better and stronger.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I do know that the more bolts you got in there, the more strength it has. Yeah. I mean, that just stands to reason.
So I mean, that's the only thing.
That's the only thing, basically, the 4-bolt main. But now on these engines like this Crown Vicky 4.6 and a lot of these newer engines, not only do you have bolts going in this way, you've got some bolts coming in from the side to give it strength. And so they always trying to make that stuff stiffer while they make it lighter at the same time. You got your ESM or EGR system module. And you got revised cylinder head combustion chamber, deletion of hydraulic cooling fan system. Ooh, hallelujah. Some of the Jeeps had hydraulic cooling fans on them too, by the way. Addition of new electric cooling fan system. And integral thermostat with water outlet pipe. All right. All right, you got new exhaust manifolds. Watch your questions now because they're coming up. All right, you got new exhaust manifolds and a revised oil filter design. It's cast stainless exhaust manifold with heat shields. Obviously, you got heat shields. Duh. Split log design for low end torque and double wall well design. You know, basically, you're looking at the way they're looking at the manifold stuff. We're not really all that concerned about that. This is, a bunch of stuff here. There's your 4-liter variable cam timing. 3-liter variable cam timing, 4-valve. That's the same deal, variable cam timing, electronic throttle control, EGR system module. Basically, the EGR system module puts everything together in one unit so that you don't have a sensor over here and an actuator over here and all that. It's all together in one wide. And that's, like I say, my pickup's set up like that. It's an 07-mile. Cylinder head, oil restrictor, oil filter, heat shield. Enough of that. Okay, there's your electric cooling fan system. Look at here. Cooling fan pump is replaced with an accessory drive idler plate. So they got rid of the cooling fan pump off of there. What's FEAD belt?
What?
FEAD, what's that stand for? FEAD. 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 Anybody know what that is?
Front engine automatic drive?
You're close. Front end accessory drive.
Okay.
That's the belts and pulleys, guys.
I've heard that, but I've never heard it called. FEAD.
Both of them use Motorcraft Premium Gold VC7A coolant, and I've got that. And then you got your. You can't get it in Oregon, though. Did you notice that?
Why?
I'm not sure. You got VC7B coolant in Oregon. Not that we're in Oregon or will ever be there anytime soon, but the 2003, they said fully serviceable to the short block. One time there was this guy that was a porter over at Bondi's, and he went into the parts room, and he asked the guys in the parts room, "Can I get an engine for my wife's Aerostar? You know, I want to see about how much it would cost, and can I order one?" And so they didn't need just, "Can I get an engine for my wife's Aerostar?" They had some questions for him. And so me and Philip Musser were standing there talking, and he comes out of the parts room, and he says, "They're asking me a question I don't know how to answer in there about my wife's engine." And so, you know, we had stopped talking, and we were looking at him, and he says, "Can you come out here and look at my wife's Aerostar and tell me if the block in it is long or short?" They says, in other words, they asked him, "Do you want a long block or a short block?" And he didn't know how to answer that, and he didn't know what it meant. And so Philip looked at me and says, "I'm going to let you handle this one." So he walks off. But anyway, basically, what's a short block? Anybody in here know? Would you be blindsided if they asked you that? Huh? Short block or long block? What's the difference? I'm asking him. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I just want to see if you know the answer. You usually got pretty good answers.
Wouldn't the short block be shorter and the long one? I guess would be longer one?
No.
Well, that sounds like a semantics thing. What about you?
I don't know either.
I ain't got a clue.
That's why you're in school, see? All right. You got any ideas?
The short block is just the block itself. The long block is usually a block that contains the assembly of accessories and it's
That's
pretty
close,
much
but not exactly accurate. You tell me.
Short block had nothing but the heads, the block and the heads.
No, a short block doesn't have the heads.
Oh, it doesn't.
A short block has got the crank and the pistons, but that's all it has. You just get the block with the crank and the pistons. A long block will come with the heads and the valve covers on it usually.
Okay.
Typically, it'll be heads of more of a pan on it, but it'll have heads of valve cover. Now, I say in some cases they'll have a pan on it, but those General Motors Target Master engines they used to sell. And Ford had the Fred Jones, you know, which would be the Ford Authorized Remanufactured Engines, FAR, they started calling them later on. But anyway, that's a short block and a long block. You got to know the difference between that. But you notice right here what they're talking about is the 3-liter, 4-liter variable cam timing engine is fully serviceable to the short block. The crankshaft bearing clearances are measured in microns.
What is a micron?
25 microns equal a thousandth of an inch.
What is a micron mean?
A micron is a millionth of a meter.
God.
You know what I told you? You know, and you know how the filters, the cabin air filters that they were putting on these cars to start with would let nothing larger than 25 microns could get through it. Right? So 25. Everybody remember what a micron is? You remember that? Yeah, that's not too hard to remember. What did I remember? Remember how much a millimeter is how many thousandths of an inch?
Millimeter?
Yeah, 1 millimeter is how many thousandths of an inch?
20,000?
No.
No, that's half a millimeter. 40,000.
40 thousandths, bingo. Okay, so 25 hundredths of a millimeter is 10 thousandths, right?
Right.
So 25 microns is 1/1000th of an inch. See, if you do the math, you can figure out how big a micron is.
Yeah.
So if you take 1 inch, it has something that comes out evenly to 25. 20 microns is a metric measurement. That's what it is. Yeah, it is. But proper clearances cannot be duplicated in the field.
Why?
Because you just can't do it. You don't have the machine tools to make it happen. It's like built to aircraft specifications. It's really incredibly tight and all that. Okay, now you're going to be able to, Brandon, this is what I was talking about. See how they lay all this out? What you're going to be able to do at the end of this presentation? Identify the 3.9 4-liter variable cam timing. I learned how to diagnose it, describe how to repair it. See, we've only got 18 pages here that we got to go through.
Wow.
And we're on page 6. Right?
Page 6 already?
Yeah, we're on page 6. I move fast. Okay? All right. Now, linear variable camshaft timing system.
What does that mean? What's linear mean?
Okay, well, we're getting there. All right. It has a new variable camshaft timing system, which was new when this came out 10 years ago, that continuously varies intake valve timing. All right, you get improved low-speed performance, enhanced idle quality, and lower exhaust emissions. Now, when the Ford Contour first came out with variable cam timing in the mid-1990s, and other people had it before they did, but the reason they put it on the Contour was to leave the the exhaust valve open a little bit longer. I'm sorry, why am I saying that? They closed the exhaust valve early so that it would trap some exhaust gas in there so they didn't have to use EGR. See? Now, when you get a little deeper into emissions, you'll understand what EGR is about, right? Okay, enhanced idle quality, lower exhaust emissions. Now, this right here is something that they do that if you can change the valve timing, then it's going to change the properties of the way that engine breathes. Let me explain a little something here. Everybody that's done hot rod work has degreed a camshaft, right?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yes.
And what does it do? If I wanted more power out of my little Ford Escort out there, how would I degree the camshaft to make that happen?
I don't know about a single cam.
No?
I don't know about
Well, I mean, you're still talking valves.
I don't know.
What would you do?
I don't know.
If you took and...
I know I advanced my intake cam 2 degrees, and I retarded my exhaust cam 4 degrees.
Yeah, so what did that do exactly?
I don't know.
It opened the intake valve sooner, and it closed the exhaust valves later. Right?
It gave a little bit of wop.
Yeah, it did that. And so what it does, but what if you could change it on the fly?
Yeah, I know.
That's what your whole deal is about. Now, only the interesting thing about these guys had this Mustang that they were working on in the shop over there where I used to work. Mm-hmm. And they had to pull the head off like you did on this Navigator out here. Whatever it was. All right, you had to pull the heads off. And when they put it back on, and they put it all back together, they fired it up, and they had their scan tool plugged in. It was idling just a little rougher than they thought it should. And they're looking at the fuel trims, and the fuel trims were plus 10 on one bank and minus 10 on the other bank.
What?
But I'm going to tell you the rest of the story before I go any farther. Okay. This thing would fly.
Oh yeah, they had.
They had one of the camshafts one tooth advanced. Mm-hmm. And so I was telling my technical editor at Motor Age Magazine about it. He said, "What if they advanced both camshafts one tooth?" I said, "Well, they didn't do that. They actually went back in there and put it back like it was supposed to be because they wanted to make sure they didn't. What if you advanced it one tooth and it eventually had some problems later on? All the warranty could go out the window. Ford's going to throw the bill back, and you got $10,000-$15,000 warranty ticket you can charge back, right?" All right. So you guys know that whenever you're working at a car dealership and you do a bunch of warranty repairs. And you get all of this work done. You did everything right. You wiped everything off. You torqued every bolt. There's no leaks. It runs just like it's supposed to. You turn in the warranty ticket, and then you write on the back, check coolant leak, replace engine. As soon as the warranty auditor comes down, he's going to look at this and say, this is a joke. Charge back. And the dealership has to pay the bill.
And you get in a lot of trouble.
Well, what happens is, they like for you to tell them a story. Detected a coolant leak. Did this, measured that, found this, here's a photograph. You got everything laid out so that they don't have any defense for paying this bill. They see exactly why you did it. And they will charge stuff back that should not be charged back sometimes. Here they come, they say, "Why did you have to pull the cylinder heads off of this 4-liter to put lifters in it?" It's because they won't come out without the cylinder head off. They hit the cylinder head when you're trying to pull them out. And they say, "Well, the shop manual doesn't say that you have to pull the cylinder head, so we're not paying you for this warranty claim." Reject.
Now make sure if you ever work at a dealership, talk to either your service manager or your dispatcher who's in charge of doing the warranty, and tell him openly, say, "Look, if my tickets are not written correctly, please let me know so I can correct them." That way when they get charged back, that service manager and that dispatcher are going to try to throw you under the bus, and you need to be able to look that general manager in the eye and say, "Look, it is their job to check and proof these things. They are the ones entering them into the computer to get paid."
Yeah, and sometimes the guy's entered into the computer is a pencil pusher that doesn't even have calluses on his hands, with all due respect to the warranty.
Yeah.
All right, look at this. Oh, wow. Advanced and retarded camshaft positions. This looks like we're playing Pac-Man here, don't it? Okay, with valves open, fully advanced. Valve closed, fully retarded. See that? Look at this. Your valve timing. Most engines have fixed valve timing, right? For a given engine range, there's only one optimum intake valve opening position. So your variable cam timing actuator is operated by oil pressure, which is what that one you were talking about does, to adjust the intake camshaft to open and close the valves. When the actuator is advanced, the camshaft opens the valve 30 degrees before top dead center and closes them 36 degrees after bottom dead center. Now you understand what top dead center and bottom dead center are, do you? Everybody got that? Do I need to single out somebody or call for volunteers? Tell me what bottom dead center is. You've been over this. What you doing? Bottom dead center. Got a crankshaft. You got your piston going this, like twice right. See, this is the crankshaft. This is top dead center. This is bottom dead center. Top, bottom, top, bottom. Got it? Top dead center, bottom dead center. Now you know what bottom dead center and top dead center are.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Okay. Now, show me 30 degrees. Can you show me 30 degrees? Huh? Wait a minute. Think about it.
30 degrees would be about where the 1 or 2 o'clock is.
Pretty close. All right, this right here is how many degrees? How many degrees? Huh?
90,
90 degrees. What's half of that?
45.
Okay, so 30 is going to be around there. You better be able to figure that out. You need to know this.
Well, you told me to show you. How am I going to show you with my hand?
Like this.
Like that.
All right, so the actuator is fully retarded. The intake, look at the difference. When the intake actuator is fully retarded, the intake camshaft opens the valve 17 degrees after top dead center and closes them 83 degrees after bottom dead center. Wow, that is a big difference. The valves are open for equal time in all cases. What in the world does that mean? The duration doesn't change.
Oh, okay.
The
Duration.
The duration is what? When you're talking about valve timing, and this is an engine repair class, guys and girls, duration is how long the valves are open, right?
Duration.
We got to make sure that you get it. Sometimes, unless you ask them, Brandon, and have them say it back to you, you don't know that they don't know. You know what I mean? There's some stuff, and Brandon will tell you this, and you're going to have to watch this when you go to teaching. There's some stuff you have known so long, so well, that you think is common knowledge to everybody. And there's some people that are like, I didn't know you were supposed to turn a bolt to the left to take it off. I mean, this kind of stuff, All right, now then, duration. The duration doesn't change. The only thing you're changing is the timing. Got it? When this window happens. Now, look at what you're looking at up here. See that? You might notice that on that little illustration right there, and that's a cool little illustration, that if I can turn that around and see what we're looking at here. See that? Are you getting a good look at that? Now look at notice the duration is the white area, right? Got it? All right. So basically all you're doing with your cam timing is you're moving that back and forth, but this size of this mouth always stays the same. You're not changing the angle, the amount of degrees of open valve. So that's what I was trying to make sure that you understood, okay? All right. Everybody clear about that? Or are we foggy? Now I got to zoom back out because you're looking at real close at all my wrinkles and everything. You know what I mean?
It's always 120 degrees.
Yep. Everybody look at that. Study that, okay? All right, you got that? Current page. I want everybody to study that page. I'm going to print 5 copies of that. Everybody gets a copy. You may get a pop test on this, okay? I'm printing that page. Everybody gets a copy of that page, and you do not forget to have a look at that. You better pay attention to that. If I ask you questions about this, I do not want you looking at me with a deer in the headlights saying, "Oh, you know what I'm saying?" That will cost you if that happens. Yeah, everybody grab one of those and give it to everybody. Okay, there you go. The best thing about doing this with a PDF file like this is you can print pages if you want to review something. See? All right, everybody's getting a copy of that. Now, you make doggone sure you understand what I was saying about that because it's really important that you do, all right? One of the reasons that I don't print every single page of this is because it uses too much toner, and we're trying to be friendly around here to the budget. We're not really hurting the environment by using toner, you know what I'm saying? All right, now then, 3.9 liter variable cam. Now look at this. There's your variable cam. time system deployed. Okay, there's your actuator. Look at number 1. Number 2 is the intake camshaft. How do we know that's the intake camshaft? If somebody didn't tell you that was the intake camshaft, how would you be able to tell? It's closest to the intake, Dodo. Yeah, look where the intake is. It's on top of the motor. The intake camshaft is always going to be the one that's closest to the intake. Duh. All right, that ain't hard to understand, is it? You got to think beyond what most people think. We're trying to refire your synapses so that you're knowing and understanding things. Everybody, the next person that answers a question wrong will have to sniff the friction modifier.
Oh, sorry.
Okay? Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm kidding. Okay. All right. Now then, what we got here, we got number 2 is number 2 is intake camshaft. Excuse me. 1 is the actuator, 2 is the camshaft, 3 is the exhaust camshaft, and 4 is a variable cam timing solenoid. Does everybody see where that is? All right, now what you were asking earlier, that solenoid was right on the end of this, just like you were talking about, wasn't it? And it's going to use oil. You all know that these, some of them have actually got veins, that it pumps oil into these veins, it turns them, and I've got right over here.
It's the Honda ones that do that.
This one right over here, which somebody didn't put it back together right, but this one right here came out of a 5.4, an F-150. And these things, when they give trouble, sometimes you have to replace this. You know, you'll wind up with trouble codes for it and all that kind of thing. See, the camshaft position, the PCM monitors and controls the phase of the intake camshaft. Is that true or false?
What's that? Say it again?
The PCM monitors and controls the phase of the intake camshaft. Is that true or is that false? That's true, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Okay. Mister, I have a bone with you. I got patches coming off my shirts.
You ain't got a bone with me?
Oh, well, why? I thought you were the route guy. You're the only point of contact I have, except a service manager.
That's true, but you ain't got a bone with me to pick on the patches. I'll get them fixed, so.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. All right, then.
I ain't the one that sews them on.
Oh, okay. Well, I tagged them and all that.
I saw it.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to have to wash some of my own uniforms. All right, give me the whole.
Give me
the whole top of that. Yeah.
There you go.
And all right.
What's wrong with you taking off last week?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's one of them the spring break things. You know. It's a dirty job, but some of us got to do it. Okay. All right. Exhaust camshaft. Look at this. Number 4. That's important. The camshaft sensor. Whenever you guys look at an engine, if a mechanic that is worthy of his salt, most of it, like me and Brandon, we can walk up to an engine, open the hood on a car that we've never seen before, and we can identify the parts that we're looking at under that hood with about 80% accuracy, if not greater, just because we think outside the box. If we see a sensor that happens to be going through the head right there by one of the camshafts, we're going to know, because we're smart, that that's the cam sensor. But I can take, some of the people that I haven't rewired their brain to fire right yet, when I show them, I point at a cam sensor that's obviously a cam sensor, and I'll say, what is that? Hey, go. I had them pull the starter off the GMC, some of the high school guys, and I said, what's that sensor behind the starter on the GMC? Ooh.
What's it pointing to?
It's the crankshaft sensor.
Counts the teeth on flour?
Huh?
Is it one of the ones that count the teeth on flour?
No, it's actually right there in front of the,
Oh, okay.
in front of the back of the
wheel
engine.
on the crank itself.
Yeah, it's right there. The wheel
reads the flywheel teeth.
Yeah.
All right, you got to look at number 2. Now, what does this remind you of, Sean? Remember the toothed cup on that camshaft that had the wrong windows in it on that Dodge truck 4.7 that you were working on?
Is that something that interacts with it?
Yeah, this does the same thing, except it's slightly a different way. You had a little cup with windows. This has got a little toothed thing. And one way or another, as it goes blowing by that little variable reluctance, that magnet with the wire wrapped around it, it's going to create a pattern that's predictable. The computer knows by the way this thing is sending its pattern where the camshaft is. Now, what does that line at the bottom say? The PCM monitors and controls the phase of the intake camshaft, right? Okay, so there you go. And that's which camshaft is the exhaust camshaft again?
Number 1.
The one that's on the bottom, the one that's closest to the exhaust is the exhaust camshaft. Okay, oh, look at that. Cool. That's a nice little cutaway. See how that works? Internal view of a variable cam timing actuator. You got a vane housing, you got a vane rotor, and you got a sprocket. All right, that varies the camshaft phase in response to engine oil pressure.
How often do they go bad, Mr. Richard?
They go, well, it's not a foregone conclusion that it's going to go bad on every single one of them, but they go bad fairly regularly.
Really? I mean,
Yeah, you got to replace them. That's why I've got one here. You know, I mean, they change them a fair amount. If a shop that has a lot of cars, like say over where I used to work, when you had 100 cars a day going through the shop, we'd replace quite a few of them. The engine guy would.
What
It throws a code. Now they just internally they start to leak and they don't work and all that kind of stuff. You know, because they have to be sealed on the inside. Those Teflon seals. Now look at this question number 2. Spring pressure on the Teflon seals advances or retards camshaft position. Is that true or is that false? Come on, guys, look what it says. Look. Now look, what were we talking about earlier? We had a solenoid that was throwing us some oil, right? Ah, look at there. That is a beautiful little illustration, is it not? All right, now, oil pressure acting on the rotor vanes advances or retards camshaft position. Now that's the question number 2. Spring pressure on Teflon seals separates each advance and retard chamber. See, the chambers are between those seals. Got it? You got a Teflon seal here, you got one there. See, that's going to isolate that oil, and it's going to cause the camshaft to change. See, it can only move so far. Now, why would they not want it to move farther than that? You don't want valves hitting pistons, do you?
Right.
Ooh, okay. All right, now then. Oh, here's your actuator, right? Okay. Now then, you see that? There you go. There's your spider bracket. Notice your VCT solenoid. You got a spider bracket. You got a bushing. All right.
Bless you.
Okay. Huh?
Said bless you.
No. Thought you said question. Okay. All right. Now then, number 3. The retard oil port is sealed to the VCT actuator bushing, which allows oil to enter the VCT actuator retard chambers. You see anything there about that? Spider bracket assemblies provide attachment point to the cylinder head, VCT system oil pressure, a borer in which the VCT solenoid controls to control oil flow, operates to control oil flow, and then a bushing in which the VCT actuator assembly rotates. Okay. Ooh, look at here. Oh, beautiful illustration. Beautiful illustration. You okay? All right.
He acts like he's dying.
You got some pepper over there. Okay.
Anything?
All right. The spider bracket has a single oil gallery that leads directly from the cylinder head oil pressure supply port to the VCT solenoid bore. Okay? You got that? All right, now watch what we're reading here. All right, let me back out on that a little bit. All right. Now then, you see that? Now look at the third question. Do you see anything there about the retard oil port? See the fourth bullet? See the fourth bullet point. The fourth bullet point. Uh-oh, went too far.
The fourth one. 1, 2, the retard.
Okay, so which one is the retard oil port?
I don't know, I feel like I didn't have a chance to read it on retard. Sealed to the...
See, it actually pumps oil pressure. It pumps oil pressure to one side or the other of those vanes so that it can move that back and forth. Yeah. When oil is directed to retard the camshaft, oil in the advanced chambers is vented through the spider bracket to the oil pan. So the oil that's in the chambers that are needing to be emptied is vented to the oil pan, while pressure is put on the other side, and that forces a change in the angle. Right? Everybody understand that? See there? Ooh, what is number 1? A locking plunger. Here, Brandon. If you can grab a wrench and jerk that apart so we can look inside of it. All right. When the engine shut off, the intake camshaft is in a fully retarded position. Everybody remember that. Everybody remember that. Oh, by the way, variable cam time and equipped engines provide what? Improved performance, enhanced idle quality, lower emissions, or all of the above?
All of the above.
That's not a hard question, is it? Okay, the 3-liter exhaust manifolds have a heat shield that replaces the old double-wall split log design.
Is that true?
We were talking about that earlier. Y'all were listening? The split log is the new design.
Right.
Got it?
You move so fast, you can't catch nothing.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you do.
Well,
You move
I
too
can try to move slow.
No.
fast. Don't like a road light.
Have you ever been in a meeting with somebody that had
I've
the
never
floor
been
and
there.
enjoyed having the floor and they talked really slow because they didn't have a lot to say? Don't you just love it? You ever had
Yeah.
one of those? You had that in the military, didn't you? One of those guys were teaching you and they just had to fill up a certain amount of time and they would,
in college either.
yeah, they would waste time. But what we try to do is we try to get through in here and get out as quick as we can. Sometimes we tell funny stories, but other than that, you know. All right, now then. Okay, the vent rotor and main and camshaft are coupled to the sprocket housing with a spring-loaded locking plunger. The locking plunger disengages from the receiver using variable cam timing oil pressure. All right, now here he comes. He's taking it apart. Okay, now look at this. The PCM inputs are the idle signal, throttle signal, and startup signal. That's three of your inputs. Now, let me ask you this. This is going, maybe I'll pop this thing. When you're starting it up, it's in what position? Fully advanced position, right? Wrong. I just said it's in a fully retarded position when you're starting it up, okay? The camshaft sensor, the crankshaft sensor, engine oil temperature. Why is that pertinent?
The engine oil
Yeah.
temperature?
Yeah. Why would you even care what the engine oil temperature is?
I guess so it wouldn't be so get thinner, you know?
It's thinner when it gets hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you have engine load. Got it? Here we go. Look at that verbiage.
Wasn't it
Huh?
like if it's the oil's hotter and it's thinner, wouldn't it take more oil for it to?
No, it's just going to work quicker.
It's gonna what?
It's going to work faster.
It'll work faster.
Yeah. PCM calculates the degree of control required through 48 degrees of crankshaft rotation. How much is 48 degrees?
48 degrees is
Huh?
a little more than 20 degrees.
48 degrees ain't warm.
You idiot! He's talking about like
Talking 48 out of
48
360.
degrees?
Okay, so remember what's from 12 to 3 o'clock? 12 to 3 o'clock is 90. So it's going to be a little over. It's going to be a little over it. So it's a little over an eighth of a turn.
you had a Brandon moment.
Yeah.
45 degrees is an eighth of a turn, isn't it? Is it? Well, wait a minute. 90 degrees is a quarter of a turn. So if half of a quarter of a turn is an eighth of a turn, so it's a little more than an eighth of a turn. There's 8 45-degree wedges in a circle if they're evenly
It's
cut, right?
4/30. It's 4/30 of the whole circle.
4/30ths of a whole circle. Wow. I'm not so sure about that one. Okay, whatever. The PCM uses, listen to this. This is important. Cold engine oil has high viscosity and poor flow characteristics. That's what we were talking about. The PCM uses time since start engine oil temperature and engine RPM to calculate variable cam timing solution. Time since start basis ranges from 60 seconds to cold, when cold, to 10 seconds when hot. In other words, it doesn't, it calculates it differently with a cold engine than it does a warm engine, basically, as far as time since start. Variable cam timing system is fully disabled. Whoop, listen to this. Whoop, that could be a question I might ask you verbally on the last day. The VCT system is fully disabled at all temperatures at or below 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
That'd mean the car ain't running, wouldn't it?
Huh?
That would mean the car isn't running, right?
The oils are really cold.
No, actually, at oil temperature below 18 degrees, if you park it out there, I mean, whenever I was, 18 degrees is not much. It's not all that cold, really.
What?
Well, I'm talking about, it's not like you're 18 below zero.
But I mean,
You know what
when
I'm
you
saying?
start the thing up, though, it's automatically going to warm up above that, though.
Well, exactly. As soon as it passes 18 degrees, is 19 degrees cold? Is 19 degrees Fahrenheit cold?
Yeah, it's cold.
18 is a little colder. 18 below zero is a heck of a lot colder. Okay, so what I'm saying is, let's say you park this thing out there in Buffalo, New York, and it was in the coldest part of the winter, and it was 16 below zero. It's going to be a little while before it goes above 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And there's no variable cam timing going to operate if it's below 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
Why? I mean, what does that do?
They don't want it operating.
But why though? I mean,
Probably because the oil is so thick that it's just going to make a mess of things. So they just leave it alone. It starts at full retard. It's going to keep it at full retard until it's able to do some good. And it needs to happen at a certain rate of speed, too, you see. and it's going to cause it to run crummy and surge and all kinds of stuff. And that oil's so thick that it's like
It wouldn't really.
molasses in wintertime.
I mean, would it? It wouldn't really take it too long to warm up, would it?
Not really, not very long. Whenever on the old carburetors, when you'd hit the choke, when you'd hit the gas and the choke would close, crank it up, it opens about 1/8 of an inch. How long does it take it to completely open that choke? 90 seconds.
90 seconds?
Yeah, 1.5 minutes, the choke's completely open. You know what I mean? Take it from a guy that worked on carburetors for 30 years. That's what we had to know. You know?
I know about
All right, huh?
I believe you. I've never messed with carburetors.
Yeah. Well, now they're doing away with carburetors, and even in NASCAR, they're going to put AFI on all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I've got friends in high places. That's what they told me. Matter of fact, on the cover of Motor Age magazine this time, it shows them sticking a big EFI sticker on the hood of a NASCAR car. And they got an article about it.
Why are they going to do that now?
Because it's better than carburetors, because carburetors stink. You know one of the things I didn't like about carburetors? You're going to have to work on that sucker sooner or later. It's not going to run good forever. And you got about, you get some miles on it, you're going to get some trash in it. It's subject to all kinds of wear and stuff like that. And you wind up with one that no matter what you do, it won't run right. And then you get the rebuilt carburetor that you bought from the parts house, and it runs like a dog because there ain't no way they could check it on a vehicle. They ship it dry. They put new parts in it. There's little porous castings and all that kind of stuff. It idles rough. It runs rich and all that kind of junk. There's little passages that get clogged and stopped up. Now, it was good money. I mean, I enjoyed that because we were always having to work on these things. You know what I mean? For my purposes, give me fuel injection any day, man. That Jeep I got out there's got 170,000 miles on it. This thing is like a, it's the color of a canary, and it also runs like one. All right, oil temperatures are above 176. Oh, look at this. At oil temperatures at or above 176 degrees Fahrenheit, the variable cam timing system may be limited when engine speed is below 3,000 RPM. Now, that's on a Ford. We don't know exactly on a Chrysler or a Nissan or the other people. This is Ford specific, okay? The recommended engine lubricant, per the owner's manual, should always be used. Now, if you see a 5.4 that's not running good, Wes, pay attention to this. You got a 5.4 and it's running crappy, idling rough, cutting up, surging, something like that. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to find out what kind of oil was poured in that crankcase the last time, what weight, and all that. Was it the oil it calls for? If it ain't the oil it calls for, you're liable to get in some trouble. So make doggone sure when you change the oil in anything that's a newer vehicle, particularly if it has variable cam timing on it, that you always put the oil in there that calls for, And I'll tell you something else when you're changing the oil on one. Do not, like if you've got, for instance, like a Chrysler Crossfire, it calls for 9 quarts of synthetic oil. Even if they don't want to spend the money on it, you say, I'm sorry, we're not pouring anything in here except what the owner's manual says. And that's all we're going to do. And even it's a $100 oil change, but it's every 10,000 miles. But if it calls for synthetic oil, you need to put what it calls for in there and don't just say oil is oil and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Now, I do that on my Jeep or on my, but whatever it calls for, even on my 2007 Ford pickup, I put synthetic blend in there because that's what it calls for. It cost me about $50 for an oil change, and it's 7 quarts of synthetic blend. Blah, 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 blah. With a synthetic blend motorcraft in there, suck it up, pay the bill, and go on. That's how you do that. All right. Now, oh my goodness, look at here. Now then, we got to find out what the rest of these are. The electric cooling fan on a 3-liter 4-valve variable cam timing engine has been replaced with a cooling fan pump. True or false? Bingo. He said the right word. Where'd you get that?
Because isn't the cooling fan pump, ain't the electric cooling fan replacing the pump?
It is. Well, the cooling fan replaces the one that required a pump to drive it, basically.
I got it right, but I said the wrong answer out loud.
Yes, that's okay. Well, the wrong answer said out loud.
I had it right on the paper, but that's
Yeah. Just remind me to tell her to mark that one wrong. Okay. All right, then. So, I'm kidding. All right, the electric cooling fan, crankshaft bearing clearances are measured in thousandths of an inch.
False.
The new variable cam timing system components include a variable cam timing crankshaft position sensor.
False.
Number 8, that is false. The variable cam timing actuator assembly varies camshaft phase in response to engine oil pressure.
True.
When the intake camshaft phase needs altering, the PCM sends an output signal to the variable cam timing solenoid valve.
True.
There you go. Everybody happy. We all know stuff now that we didn't know before, and that's why we're here.
Hey,